Ki is Dragon Ball's main power system, based on the ancient Chinese concept of Qi. It essentially translates to energy, and is present in every living being. But to be used, it needs to be drawn out. This is the foundation for most attacks in Dragon Ball. People can learn to manipulate their Ki to enhance their strength, agility, or durability, and can also shoot it out to perform energy-based attacks, like beams or bombs. In battle, the most important thing is the size of one's Ki and their control over it. What is Ki made up of? Well, Toriyama's really only pointed out 3 key factors, but there could be more. Genki, which is one's health. This is used for the Genki Dama or Spirit Bomb. Yuki, which is one's courage. And Shoki, which is one's right-mindedness. There are also at least 3 categories of Ki, maybe more. Good mortal Ki. This is the Ki that most characters like Goku, Krillin, or Master Roshi would use. Evil mortal Ki. This is mortal Ki that's sensed to be evil or have evil intent, like Frieza's Ki. And lastly, we have God Ki. God Ki cannot be sensed by those who have mortal Ki. SSG and SSB would fall into this category. It's also worth noting that certain people can transform, like Goku or Vegeta turning Super Saiyan, which increases their overall Ki output. Ki as a concept is really influential in anime and manga, and you're going to see a lot of power systems that use life energy, just like Dragon Ball does. Stands are the main power system in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure that replaced Hamon in Season 3. Stands are basically a physical manifestation of a stand user's mental psyche, and their abilities vary based on the stand and the person themselves. For example, Magician Red can use fire and heat-based technique, while Crazy Diamond can heal injury. They also vary in what form they take. Usually they're humanoid, but sometimes they can just be a straight-up airplane, and also not all stand users actually need to be human, like the perverted orangutan whose stand is a fucking ocean liner. Also, most stands are either based on a color and a tarot card or a musical artist. So if I had to choose a stand, I'd probably make mine Pink Guy.
Hey boss!
The most common way for a person to get a stand is to be pierced by the stand arrow. This is an arrow that's created from a mysterious meteorite, and getting pierced by it will either give that person a stand or kill them. Once given a stand, this awakening will pass through that person's bloodlines. This is why Dio's stand awakening gave Joseph and Jotaro stands as well, because he was using Jonathan's body. But it's also why Jotaro's mom gets sick, since some people's bodies cannot handle the power of a stand. In addition, all stands have certain stats associated with them that are ranked from E to A. The stats are precision, speed, range, resistance, destructive power, and developmental potential. Although, to be honest, the most important thing in stands is their signature ability. Chakra is the main power system in Naruto, and is the basis for all jutsus. Chakra is basically one's stamina and life force, and by molding it through hand signs, ninjas can create different jutsu techniques. Although, depending on how experienced the ninja is, they may not need hand signs at all. In general, there are 3 main types of jutsus. Genjutsu, which involves illusionary techniques, where a ninja creates sensory illusions to their opponent. Taijutsu, which is usually physical martial arts. And ninjutsu. Most ninjutsu techniques use chakra to create special attacks, like fire release or Rasengan. Generally, the amount of chakra a ninja has is capped, and once they reach their limit, they will have to rest. This limit is usually linked to your genetics, but can be trained to be increased. Every person's chakra is also different, and gives off a unique chakra signature. Entire clans can have different chakra signatures, like the Uchiha clan. Most ninjas' chakras also have an affinity towards one of the 5 basic natures, allowing them to transform their chakra. These 5 elements are fire, wind, lightning, earth, and water. There are also a lot of other elements that can be used in nature transformation, but I'm not going to go over them. There are also certain ninja techniques that can only be passed through bloodline, known as Keki Genkai. An example of this would be the Sharingan, which is selectively passed through the Uchiha clan. Alchemy is the main power system in Full Metal Alchemist. It's a science and magical art that involves altering matter using energy. This is known as transmutation, which involves 3 steps. First is understanding the material being transmuted, basically what it is made up of on a molecular scale. The second step is deconstruction. This involves using energy to break down the material into a new state. And finally, the last step is reconstruction, creating something new from material that was just broken down. You can transmute basically anything. Solids, liquids, and gases are all fair game, and to successfully complete a transmutation, the alchemist has to have an understanding of the chemistry and alchemical theory associated with whatever they're creating. This leads to the core principle of alchemy, the law of equivalent exchange. To obtain something of equal value must be lost, and if you fail to follow this law, some really bad shit can happen. This is known as a rebound, where an imbalance causes a catastrophic taking or giving to the alchemist. This can result in mutations, injury, or even death. In order to do a transmutation, most alchemists must create a transmutation circle first, which can be drawn on the ground with really anything. Chalk, pencil, piss, whatever. Most alchemists need to use a circle, but if one has seen the gate, they understand the true nature of alchemy and can do it with a simple clap. However, alchemists aren't limited to just transmuting inorganic material. Alchemists can transmute living beings to create chimeras, which are usually mixes of 2 different species. In addition, you can even bond human souls to inorganic materials, like Alphonse, who has no actual human body but is bound to a suit of armor. Also, it's worth noting that humans' transmutation is possible, but highly frowned upon and considered the greatest sin and taboo for an alchemist. Quirks are just superpowers that are passed down genetically. Basically, this baby in China started glowing, and that was the beginning of the public recognizing superhumans in their society. Since quirks are genetically passed, you can get quirk hybrids from two different parents, like Todoroki, who inherited his father's fire powers and his mom's ice powers. Quirks are like physical abilities. The more you train them, the stronger they can get. There are three main types of quirks. Emitters, which allow their user to generate or control certain things. Usually, these quirks require a conscious action to activate. This covers the majority of quirks in the show, like Kaminari's electricity or Bakugo's explosion. Transformation allows the user to temporarily transform, altering their appearance, strength, or other attributes. Like emitters, you consciously have to activate this ability, like Himiko or Kirishima in the show. Mutants are basically just permanently mutated humans. Sometimes mutants will gain an extra limb. Examples include Fumikage and Ojiro. Also, not gonna cut the music. What the is that quirk? Bro just has a tail, like what? There's also a fourth type of quirk that's incredibly rare, accumulation. This requires the user to accumulate something ahead of time before using it. Deku's One for All and Aries Rewind are in this category. Devil Fruits and Haki are the main power systems in the One Piece world. Devil Fruits are special fruits that grant people supernatural abilities when they eat them. They are all extremely rare and vary in what powers they grant the user. Also, Devil Fruit users are weakened in water and can't swim. There are three broad groups of Devil Fruit. Paramecia, this is the most common type of Devil Fruit. There's a huge variety of them, but they usually grant the user superhuman abilities or superhuman feats. This includes manipulating their body, their environment, or even creating substances. Zoan, this type of fruit allows someone to turn into a specific animal or hybrid. And Logia, the least common type and considered to be the most powerful. The best way to counter Logia Devil Fruit users is to use Haki, which is introduced later in One Piece. Haki is basically just energy manifested from willpower. There are three distinct types. Observation Haki, which kind of gives the user a sixth sense, allowing them to sense attacks. They can also be used to find an opponent's presence, strength, or even their emotions. Armament Haki allows the user to mold their aura into defense, to defend against attacks or even increase their own attacks. You can apply Armament Haki onto your body or even a weapon. This is generally considered the best counter to Logia Devil Fruit users. The last and most powerful is Conqueror's Haki. This gives the user the ability to unleash their willpower to overpower the wills of others. This is an incredibly rare Haki skill that only one in millions can use. Nen is the main power system in Hunter x Hunter, and also my personal favorite. Nen is essentially one's life energy or aura, and being able to control and manipulate it makes someone a Nen user. Non-Nen users can't see Nen, as you must first master Gyo, which is an advanced Nen technique where someone concentrates their aura into their eyes to see Nen. To understand your Nen type, you basically have to put a leaf in some water and see what happens. If the glass overflows, then the user is an enhancer. Enhancement types allows the user to enhance and strike their body using their Nen. It's also considered the most basic aura type, since it's mainly focused on just boosting attack and defense, like Gon in the show. If the taste of the water changes, then the user is a transmuter, so I guess Jesus was technically a transmuter. Transmuter types allow the user to change their aura to mimic or replicate a certain substance. This includes electricity like with Killua or bungee gum like with Hisoka, which you see has the properties of both rubber and gum. If the color of the water changes, then they are an emitter. Emission types mean that they can easily emit their Nen, separating it and usually using it in range attacks, like Razor and Leorio. If impurities in the water appear, then they are a conjurer. Conjuration users can create physical material objects out of their aura, but they first have to visualize and feel what they're trying to create, like Kurapika with his chains. The nice thing about conjuration is you can conjure or dispel it immediately. If the leaf moves, then they are a manipulator. Manipulation types can control living or non-living things using their aura. In the series, we often see people controlling people or Nen puppets. Examples of manipulators include Illumi Zoldyck, Shalnark, and Minecraft YouTubers. Lastly, specialization types are basically the outlier, as they don't really fit into any of the other Nen types. Usually, these Nen users have insane abilities, like Neon's ability to write the future, or Aluka's ability to grant any wish. While Nen users are usually more proficient in a single type of aura, depending on which aura you have, techniques from other types are still possible. Those techniques are easier the closer they are in this chart, and harder based on how far they are. In addition, Nen users can create self-imposed limitations which can significantly boost their powers. Someone simply has to create a contract and vow to follow it. Usually, the stricter the limitation, the stronger the Nen user's resolve is, making them even more powerful. An example of this in the series is Kurapika vowing to only use his chain gel on spiders, making him much more powerful. Cursed energy is the main power system in Jujutsu Kaisen, and is born from negative emotions. Cursed energy manipulation is the ability to control the flow of cursed energy and apply it. You can apply cursed energy in a lot of ways, usually in physical attacks by making your normal strike stronger, or in defense by making your body stronger. Black flashes are an example of this, where cursed energy is used within a very small time frame before an initial strike. This causes a spatial distortion that amplifies the cursed energy. Think of this like a critical hit in Pokemon. There exists no sorcerer who can do this at will. Cursed techniques are abilities abilities created and fueled from cursed energy. Think of cursed energy like electricity and cursed techniques as the appliance that use the energy. Most jujutsu sorcerers have an innate technique, which is a unique ability to that person. Some innate techniques can be passed down through generations, like the Gojo family's limitless technique. Reverse cursed techniques are similar to cursed techniques, but instead require a sorcerer to take two sources of negative cursed energy and multiply them together, creating positive energy. This is extremely difficult for most sorcerers, and usually the positive energy is used for healing. Like Nen, you can also create binding vows that set conditions that increase your power. For example, Nanami limits the amount of cursed energy he can use during working hours, but once he goes into overtime, his cursed energy increases. In addition, revealing your cursed technique to your opponent actually increases the power and the effectiveness of it, which, by the way, such a genius way of having characters explain their technique in the middle of a battle without it being awkward for the viewer. And lastly, we need to talk about domain expansions. It creates a barrier that is infused with that sorcerer's innate cursed technique, and inside of the barrier, all cursed techniques from that user are amplified and guaranteed to hit. Domain expansions are usually regarded as a trump card, only to be used once per fight, since they take a ton of energy. This makes them really high risk, high reward, and the best counter to a domain is to set up your own domain inside. This will create a battle between them. Geass is a supernatural ability that code bearers can bestow upon people by a contract. In the show, we see C2 give Lelouch the power of absolute obedience, also known as the power of kings. This gives him the ability to give any one command to a person if they make eye contact. A Geass can be leveled up through excessive usage, as we see with Mao, who cannot stop his mind reading Geass regardless of whether he wants to activate it or not. Also, Mao shows us that not all Geass users need to make eye contact to activate their ability, just like Rollo in Season 2. When a Geass is leveled up all the way, that user is strong enough to take the code of a code bearer. This makes the code bearer mortal once again, and once the transfer is complete, the Geass user completely loses their ability, but in turn is immortal while being immune to all other Geass. Reiryoku, or spiritual energy, is the primary power system used by all races in Bleach. It's generally understood as someone's spiritual energy. Every spiritual being emits Reiryoku, which is known as Reiatsu, or basically spiritual pressure. The difference between these two is that Reiryoku is the amount of spiritual energy one has, and Reiatsu is the pressure or flow of one's spiritual energy. Also, everyone has a different power level of Reiryoku, or spiritual energy. The first is basic, then average, then high spiritual power, then great, then immense, then immeasurable spiritual power. Different races have entirely different patterns in their Reiatsu, and using a technique known as Reikaku, or spiritual sense, one can identify a person simply from their Reiatsu. There are many different races and types of spirits in Bleach, and each effectively have their own power system, but they still fundamentally use Reiryoku as the basis. The first of these races is average humans, most of which have no spiritual awareness and aren't aware of Reiryoku at all. Next we have souls. These are spirits made up of reishi, or spirit particles. They are generally split up into pluses and hollows. Pluses are normal spirits of deceased humans, usually just regular ghosts that haven't reached soul society. Hollows used to be pluses, but after losing their heart, they eat the souls of the living and the dead. Most of them are mindless monsters that devour souls, but some can be intelligent. Shinigamis are souls with high Reiryoku and a body made of reshi. Their main work is to send pluses to soul society and purify hollows. Zanpakutos are also the main weapons of Shinigami, and the art of wielding one is known as Zanjutsu. In addition, the full release of one Zanpakuto is known as Bankai. This releases an immense amount of power. Fullbringers are a race of humans who are spiritually attuned and have the Fullbring ability, which allows them to manipulate the souls in all physical matter or objects. Their powers are more close to a hollow than a Shinigami due to how they're born. Quincy's are a race of humans that inherited their spiritual powers from Yuhavak. Quincy's notably have the ability of reishi manipulation and can create spirit weapons from it with a Quincy cross. Bounce are a race of artificially created spiritual beings in the Soul Society that can live forever through consuming souls, usually of humans that are already dead. Although if one drains the soul of a living human, they can gain a large boost in power. Devils in the Chainsaw Man universe are supernatural beings. Every devil is born in hell, and each is given a name that correlates to a concept. Their power is directly related to what their name is and how many living beings fear that concept. Like, the dog devil is probably pretty weak. Wait, maybe not. While most devils hate humans, some don't. Like the Chainsaw Devil, who loves Denji enough to live with him as a pet, and in the first episode literally saves his life by replacing his heart. In this sense, Denji isn't actually a devil but a human-devil hybrid, as he can notably summon chainsaw powers by pulling on his ripcord. Power, however, is very different since she is a fiend. Fiends are devils that have taken over human corpses, and when a devil becomes a fiend, they will lose a lot of their initial power and usually grow horns. Devil contracts are binding verbal agreements between humans and devils that must be followed. Most contracts involve a human giving up something that is valuable to them or would cause them suffering in exchange for a devil's power. Titans are the main power system in Attack on Titan. While there are your normal everyday titans, there are also special intelligent titans that humans are transforming into. To transform into a titan, you must first be a subject of Ymir, and you must have either eaten a previous titan holder or had their titan spinal fluid injected into your veins. Eldians can transform into titans by inflicting wounds on themselves, usually by drawing blood. There are a total of 9 bad boys and girl. The Armored Titan has extremely powerful armor plates on top of it, making it very durable. It's capable of withstanding cannon shots and breaking through walls. It's also impossible to kill with normal ODM gear and blades, as you need missiles to break through. The Beast Titan has an animal-like appearance and specializes in throwing objects in the show. However, it's worth noting that the Beast Titan can take on other forms. It's not limited to a monkey. It can include wolves, snakes, bulls, etc. The Cart Titan is a quadrupedal titan that specializes in speed and endurance. Specifically, it's able to regenerate its titan form a lot more than the others. The Colossal Titan is notable for its insane size, standing at over 60 meters high. That's around 196 feet for us Americans. And since it's so massive, the heat generated from it being that size forces it to emit steam. The Female Titan can mimic some abilities of other titans, and can also harden parts of its skin. The abilities about this titan are a little unclear. I've always wondered if you have to be a female to inherit the Female Titan, but it's not like other women can't inherit the other titans. If anyone know why the Female Titan is special and why it's gendered, let me know in the comments. The Jaw Titan is known for its powerful jaws and claws, able to tear through anything. It's also understood to be the fastest of the 9 titans. The Warhammer Titan is able to construct structures out of hardened titan flesh, most notably a giant hammer. It can also separate the user from its main body, making it very hard to kill. And okay, this next AOT section is gonna have spoilers. I mean, the entire thing does, but I would say this next section has the most spoilers. It goes over content in the last season and even the ending of the show. The Attack Titan is Eren's signature titan. The Attack Titan has the ability to see through the memories of its past and future holders, just like we see in the ending. And lastly, the Founding Titan, the first of all titans. Just by screaming, it can create and control other titans and all other subjects of Ymir. In addition, the Founding Titan can look into the past, and eventually Eren Yeager ends up controlling this as well. Breathing styles are the main power system for the Demon Slayer core, and they're essentially just weapon techniques, usually used on swords. They utilize total concentration breathing, which is a way for Demon Slayers to control their breathing and enhance their physical attributes. All breathing styles are derived from sun breathing, the first breathing style. There are also 5 derivations of this that are the fundamental elemental breathing styles: flame, water, wind, stone, and thunder. There are also a lot of smaller breathing styles that come from these elements to create new breathing techniques, like love and mist are created from flame and wind respectively. What is interesting about the breathing styles is that the element isn't actually created in real life. All of the water or fire you see is added for us as a visual metaphor to help us understand how the character themselves sees the technique they're doing. Servants are the main power system in the Fate series. It's worth noting that magic does exist, but I'm mainly going to focus on the summoning of servants, which are spirits from ancient legends or history that have been summoned to fight under masters in the Holy Grail War. Hold on a second. When I think about it, it kind of sounds like slavery. There are 7 classes of servants. The Saber class, known for their physical ability, are powerful melee warriors who usually wield swords. The Lancer class are generally very agile and use longer ranged melee weapons. The Archer class are usually equipped with long range weapons and have the very powerful skill of independent action, allowing them to act even without magical energy from their master. Yes, every servant does need magical energy pumped constantly from their master. Well, except for archers. The Rider class is known for its speed and powerful noble phantasms, which are essentially just treasured items like swords, spears, and even mounts. The Caster class is skilled in magecraft and have the skill Territory Creation, which can create a space around them to enhance their sorcery. The Assassin class is proficient in assassination and stealth. Their special skill in presence concealment allows them to remain undetected. Usually they will target masters instead of servants. And lastly, lastly, the Berserker class, no, not that Berserker, are servants that have gone mad or fight recklessly. This allows them to use their special skill, Mad Enhancement, which trades their sanity for insane power. And personally, I've always thought the Berserker class was the coolest. Magic and Battle Aura are the main power systems in Mushoku Tensei, and I'm going to focus mainly on magic here. Magic requires mana to produce an effect, and all living beings born in this six-faced world have mana, excluding people who are summoned there. Most people believe that mana is determined at birth, but Rudius proves us wrong. He shows that the more mana you use in your childhood, the larger your mana pool grows. Now, normally you have to recite a spell for it to activate, but silent spellcasting is possible, just very unorthodox. There exist three main categories for magical spells: attack, healing, and summoning spells. Summoning is pretty self-explanatory, but attack magic is broken down into four different schools: water, earth, fire, air. Long ago, the healing magic is also divided into four schools: healing, detoxification for poisons, divine strikes for fighting spirits, and protection. There are other special types of magic that I haven't covered, and also every magic spell has a rank titled based on how much mana it consumes or how powerful it is. Your rank as a magician is based on the highest rank spell you can cast in any one element. The first rank is beginner, then intermediate, then advanced. This is where most skill mages land, and only 1 in 100 mages are even capable of becoming an advanced magician in a single element. Next is saintly. This is the rank that Rudius achieves with Roxy. Then kingly. This is where Roxy is. She's a kingly level water mage. Then imperial. And last we have divine or god level rank. And that's every anime power explained. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment on what you want me to cover next and what I got wrong, because with this many intricate power systems, I know I got something wrong. And yeah, peace.